Hi, thanks for watching my video. In this video I'll walk you through the breakdown, how Cole Palmer has become unstoppable. Cole Palmer scored 28 goals and got 15 assists since the start of last season. That's more goal contributions than any other player, even Erling Haaland. That's right, even Erling Haaland. But how has Palmer become so unstoppable, and why has he become even more of an attacking threat since Enzo Maresca became the manager? Hello friends, welcome to the breakdown with me talking tactics. During the 2023-24 season, Palmer was mostly deployed as a right winger, often drifting into central areas onto that favored left foot. This was a trait that caused massive problems for Premier League defenses, and Newcastle United was one of the unfortunate victims. This clip highlights what Cole Palmer was all about last season, moving into a central area from that right-hand side and letting loose. But by no means, and let's make this clear, I'm not saying Cole Palmer is a one-trick pony. Palmer demonstrated skill and intelligence for this goal against Luton. Notice how quickly he reacts to the free kick being taken, but then how calm and composed he is in the box in what feels like an urgent situation. But not for Cole Palmer, because let's remember, it's Cole Palmer, isn't it? The 23-24 season was a resounding success for Palmer, but this season he might actually be better. Mauricio Pochettino leaving at the end of last season brought with it a whole host of questions. How would new manager Enzo Maresca cope despite never managing in the Premier League previously? How would Chelsea line up with the abundance of talent at their disposal? And where would their star man Cole Palmer even play? So the season kicks off and it doesn't go to plan for Chelsea. Chelsea lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation against Manchester City. Cole Palmer, against his old club, donned his usual position of right wing. Now, with this heat map for the game demonstrating very similar characteristics to the previous season where he'd been so successful, which is understandable, right? But this defeat by Manchester City at home was a real catalyst for change. And that change was moving Cole Palmer from the right wing into a more central role and bringing in Noni Madueke on the right wing at the same time, a decision that he may never go back on after what happened against Wolves, but also how it happened. And I wanted a second to explain why that change in position was so important for him, because this is the first game of the season. This is the game against Manchester City, and Cole Palmer is playing on this right-hand side, which he did all last season and was absolutely brilliant. And actually in this game gusto would get as high as possible a lot of the time, and what I've done here is I've drawn the lines on the pitch that showcase the different areas of the pitch, and in particular the half space here. Now Cole Palmer is brilliant in this half space, but his starting position often was a little bit wider, and so although he then can step into this half space and on his left foot, his stronger foot, that's great, and Gusto can step past him as well. Again, that's also great with someone like Cole Palmer and his football intelligence and his ability to make decisions quickly. I think Maresca realized that he wanted him to start in that position a little bit sooner. There was also another reason for it as well, because if we go to the touch map of Palmer in the game against Wolves last season, not this season, last season, what you can see here is Palmer is getting involved a lot, but he's playing on that right-hand side, and therefore when we look at this side of the pitch, understandably, because he might have a touch here, he might step into that half space here, but he's never going to get all the way over to this side of the pitch to impact that left side of the pitch. And having those quick-witted players in the center of the pitch is really, really important. And Maresca realized that starting him here and allowing him to go on that left foot, there was a better use of Cole Palmer, and it was to put him in that central area. So in the second game of the season, Maresca makes a change against the Wolves again and puts Cole Palmer in a more central position, and you can see the impact. There's such, and the big difference of course is that Cole Palmer is higher up the pitch, but also he's got that freedom to move over to the left-hand side as well as the right side. Great runners in Mudryk, Jackson, and Madueke who can kind of run away from him, but most importantly get so many more touches on the left-hand side of the pitch as well as the right. And you can see it in the game itself. Cole Palmer is here in a more central position. And Sanchez makes a long pass over the top. Actually, Nicholas Jackson as well, having someone like Cole Palmer in a more central area, I think suits Nicholas Jackson, who drifted over to the left-hand side at different times during last season and often looked comfortable. And you can see here as it moves on, the important thing is, again, he would have been in this position right here. He would have been where Madueke is. So it's very different for Cole Palmer to be in a more central position to help out his teammates, be closer to the goal, and affect it. The pass comes from Nicholas Jackson, and he goes over his head, and Cole Palmer has the pace to go there. It then comes down to technical acumen, and Cole Palmer has technical acumen. He has this no hesitant approach, and that ultimately comes from having confidence because it allows you to commit to what you're doing. His awareness is superb, but again, being in a central position gives him those options in the game to make quick decisions and hurt the opposition, and he does exactly that. Very few would do what he did. Most players would take a touch and dribble and take on the goalkeeper, maybe go outside the goalkeeper. It's out of brilliance from Cole Palmer. The goal of the match may be the greatest insight so far this season into why Cole Palmer is much more suited to a central role. Firstly, despite being in a central role on paper, Palmer still gets that freedom to drift somewhat wider, and this is exactly where this goal comes from. So by drifting slightly, it allows Palmer to go undetected by the Wolves' defensive midfielder. So when he receives the ball, he has time and space to make a decision. But also Matchweek's positioning is equally important because it plants that seed of doubt in Aït-Nouri's mind of where the ball is going. It also means that the defender can't commit to closing down Palmer out of fear that Matchweek's going to receive the ball. And then Matchweek's wide positioning really helps Palmer because it gives Palmer two options. He can either pass it to Matchweek or drop the shoulder, move the ball onto his left, and have a shot, of course, something that he's very capable and very willing to do. And you can actually even see it in Tony Gomez's body positioning. He's not sure whether to go to press Cole Palmer or to back off. In this instance, Palmer chose the option of passing to Matchweek, and the weight of the pass was perfect, meaning Matchweek has the ball under his spell and can now square up Aït-Nouri. This allows Matchweek to take the shot early, which sees him grab a goal, but also an assist for Palmer. Less than a week later, Chelsea faced Crystal Palace, and Palmer was back to his usual brilliance. They win the ball in the central area, and I think the important thing to show you here is 24-41, okay? But Matchweek, you can see from his body language, he's on his bike. Off he goes. He's not literally on the bike. That's not allowed. That'll be a foul. But as we move it on, just a few seconds later, they are now right into the final third, playing with pace and playing with good pass appreciation as well. Matchweek's been in absolutely fantastic form this season, returns the favor to Cole Palmer, who's now in that half space that we spoke about, that right half space with an exciting player to the left of him, plays the pass to Cole Palmer, and what's really important here is again just really smart in terms of his awareness, because although that pass is making its way, he's also having that little look whilst he's moving to see if there's anyone there, and there is Nicholas Jackson. And the pass is made, he plays it with that left foot brilliantly, and Nicholas Jackson has an absolute tap-in. The game against Brighton felt a little bit different. Brighton came into this game week being only one of 4 teams still yet to lose a Premier League match this season. They looked very impressive and have built a really impressive squad, but Cole Palmer made history in this match, becoming the first player to score 4 first-half goals in a Premier League game, and his 4th goal was a perfect example of why his central role is allowing him so many goal-scoring opportunities. He looks disinterested despite being in a very dangerous position. It's a very awkward position. It's a position actually known as Zone 14, and Zone 14 is actually this area here, and most goals, more goals than anywhere else, come from this area of the pitch. It's a very awkward place for the opposition to defend. And what they do here is they fall for it because Cole Palmer does look disinterested. But in that position there, he then knows that if he can attack the space and he's got the pace to do so, he can make life very difficult and hurt Brighton, and so he does. All of a sudden he's looking very interested, isn't he? And him and Jadon Sancho, you've got the vision of Jadon Sancho, who's also comfortable in those half spaces, seeing Cole Palmer's run, understanding his body language, and then within 2 seconds Cole Palmer is now in behind and about to score another goal. This really is a perfect example of the additional chances that he's now getting due to playing in a central area, being able to survey the scene, and being involved a little bit more by starting in that central position. He is perfect for it. In the moments that we've pinpointed, he's shown all the characteristics of a great attacking midfielder. You've got past appreciation, spatial awareness, attacking movement, and of course finishing. And with 4 assists already this season, can Cole Palmer break De Bruyne's joint record for most assists in a Premier League season, which currently stands at 20?